It is a fact of life that people can't keep secrets. They wait for the right moment and the right person to tell their secrets to. As a full-time investigative author and journalist who has spent more than 20 years delving deeply into the murky world of official secrecy and probing the innermost workings of the intelligence community, I have often been that person. But never have I been told anything as shocking as what an elderly lady told me after a speaking engagement in Los Angeles in July 2001. That's from Body Snatchers in the Desert, The Horrible Truth at the Heart of the Roswell Story by Nick Redfern. Hello and welcome to another edition of The Snatcher's Truth. Anyway, the main purpose of this video is to talk about George Sodini. A friend of mine, this is the person who allegedly shot and killed 3 people, wounding many others, and then took his own life in a LA fitness center around Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Now, you know, in a previous blog I commented that he was a pathetic loser, and looking at his videos, which are on YouTube, if they're still there, they may have been taken down. I looked at both of the videos that were posted there this morning. He seems very much like an automaton in the way he acts and his behavior, even his mode of speech. He has no inflection. Seems like he's completely emotionless. Now he describes himself in a couple of the websites in which he had material posted as being engaged in some form of social activity here and there, which would seem to belie the fact that he would be a sociopath, which some people think he might have been a sociopath. You know, I've heard another so-called experts say he was a psychopath. But you can't, if you're a sociopath, psychopath, you can't really even engage in any kind of somewhat friendly behavior. You don't go away with friends, you don't do things of that nature, you're a complete loner. You know, obviously he didn't have any, you know, close relationships. But one of my subscribers sent me a link to a very interesting piece of information. Now, I'm including this in the for what it's worth category, simply because I have absolutely no knowledge as to whether or not any of it is true, but it certainly makes a very, very intriguing story. And this is by Sorcha Fall, and as reported to her Western subscribers. And I'll just go over a little bit of this. I hate to read stuff, but I want to make sure I get this the best I can. A disturbing FSB, that's the equivalent of the FBI in Russia, report delivered to Prime Minister Putin yesterday states that a quote-unquote cabal consisting of some of the most powerful people and corporations in the United States are behind the deadly rampage which occurred in the U.S. city of Pittsburgh, where 3 women were killed and 9 wounded in a massacre blamed on an quote-unquote antisocial woman-hating man named George Sodini. However, according to these FSB reports, the depiction by the U.S. propaganda media of George Sodini as, quote, antisocial and women-hating, end quote, could not be, quote, further from the truth, end quote. In describing what Russian intelligence files profile as, quote, one of the most important financial computer wizards, end quote, who was so, quote, unquote, deeply entrenched in the current global banking collapse, and which many FSB experts believe it was his, Sodini's, computer program that has, in fact, engineered the theft of trillions of dollars in what was once the America's people's wealth. Now, it should be noted that Sodini himself said in his blog that he had recently gotten a promotion and a raise. He wasn't interested in that. Didn't serve to satisfy his, you know, whatever was missing in his life, whatever. Now, so, you know, there you have that. Interesting to note in these files about Sodini was that he was educated by one of the most prestigious and private of the American elite's academic institutions called Carnegie Mellon University, and which was established in 1900 by the Scottish-American industrialist, otherwise known as robber baron, Andrew Carnegie, who, aside from the billions he pillaged from the American people, was also one of the group of U.S. industrialists known as the South Fork Fishing and Hunting Club, responsible for the 1889 Johnstown flood, which killed over 2,200 people. Even more interesting about Sodini's being educated by Carnegie Mellon University, and which provides us an important clue into this quote-unquote massacre, is this institution's decades-long research into human mind control, and which began in the early part of the 20th century when the Mellon family, the Carnegie family, merged with the Mellon Family Institute to create the Carnegie Mellon University in Pittsburgh in 1967, made the quote-unquote amazing claim that sodium fluoride prevented tooth decay, a discovery that literally turned, quote, garbage into gold, end quote. The Mellon family had amassed their vast fortune through their ownership of the American Aluminum Company, which was the largest producer of the waste toxin. Sodium fluoride, which up to their new discovery had no value other than being an effective rat poison, but was such an environmental hazard of great public concern, the cost of their having to dispose of it would have effectively bankrupted them. Today, Sodini's alma mater, Carnegie Mellon University, remains in the forefront of mind control research, and as we can read, as reported by the Popular Science News Service, and it goes on to talk about cybernetics and how monkeys can control machines with their brains. And being at the forefront of mind control research has been very lucrative to Carnegie Mellon University too, who in just the past 8 years alone has received over $300 million in U.S. military and intelligence agency contracts, the majority of them, of course, classified. Now, from his quote-unquote training at such storied institution, Sodini, these reports continue, was recruited by none other than the wealthiest of America's current robber barons and richest man in the world, Bill Gates, and who, upon hiring Sodini, placed him at the prestigious Pittsburgh law firm of Kirkpatrick and Lockhart Nicholson Graham, and which in 2007 merged with Bill Gates' private Seattle-based Preston Gates and Ellis law firm to form what is described as the most powerful law firm in the world, called K&L Gates. Let's see, to how fast and far-reaching Sodini's law firm employer is, we can read, K&L Gates LLP comprises 1,800 lawyers who practice in 33 offices located in 3 continents, and goes on to break that down a little bit. According to these FSB reports, however, Sodini's employer, K&L Gates, is not just the law firm, but is the main conduit through which nearly every American politician must pass before they are allowed to be elected, including the President of the United States.